back in Ohio visiting my family, and we have a second Step 2 car, so I can actually do a video showing the wiring installation to upgrade a Step 2 car like this. It's got the handlebar, or the little handle for parent to push the kid. Going to show you how to upgrade it with LEDs, LED headlights, ground effects, and tail lights. I'm also going to try to add a horn. I got the quietest available at AutoZone. See how it says loud, louder, loudest? This is kind of like a Stebble Nautilus, but a cheap economy version, Blazer International. I think it was like $10 at AutoZone. So what you will need for this, the plastic actually cuts very easily. You just need a simple utility knife. You'll need needle nose pliers, wire stripper, or a knife, anything to cut the wire to get bare wires. The other tools you need is a soldering iron if you're smart and want your connections to be really clean and good. Solder, obviously. Rosin core is good to use, but it's toxic. This is lead, keep in mind, so you might want to be in a well-ventilated area. This is our huge wood shop, so plenty of air. Shrink wrap tubing to waterproof everything, just in case you leave the car out in the rain and forget about it. You won't have to worry about stuff rusting and getting leaks in it. Whole bundle of wire. I'm pretty sure this is just car speaker wire, but it'll do the trick. It's a really pretty small gauge, but you're not going to need much more than that for basic 12 volt low amp application. I mean, we're only pushing 3 amps. Power source we're using is a Milwaukee. Output 12 volt 3 amp if you use the cigarette lighter outlet, and the USB outlet is too low. 750 milliamps is not going to power all these LEDs. They'll be very dim. So get a cigarette lighter outlet like zoom out like that. I got mine on Amazon for just a couple bucks. And then I got, I can't remember which, I think these are 50/50 LEDs. So they should be pretty bright. The previous ones that I got were really crappy, and they've already burned out some of the LEDs. So hopefully these will be better and easier to replace and swap out. They do come preloaded with 3M emblem adhesive, so these should stick on very strongly. And then for the ground effects lights, you can get these at AutoZone that come pre-hooked up with a battery, so you wouldn't even necessarily have to run any wires. But I'm going to run wires because I like everything to be hooked up together. And these come with adhesive on the back of them, but you're going to want to use a hot glue gun to stick these on. Let the hot glue get nice and hot before running the LEDs on. And these two strips, the 24-inch kit, should be more than enough. So we'll see how these work out. And then the tail lights are just cheap trailer tail lights, but these things are super bright. If you've seen the Instagram photos or other things that I've posted up of the car, I think I posted up on Twitter a while back, they are just crazy bright. So it's good for when you're crossing the street at night and people aren't seeing you in their cars and they might possibly run a red light. Having this car all lit up, they're a lot less likely to run you down. So that's part of what kicked this off. I almost got hit by somebody that just blew through a stoplight out back in California. So those are the lights, horn, and then I'm going to have a momentary switch for the horn. There's a positive and negative, and then the 3 in the middle, it says NC, NO, and C. So I assume that's like negative open, negative closed, and probably a common ground. And then we've got our zombie light switch. It's pretty simple to operate. He actually turns them on and off himself at this point at 17 months. So this is kind of the same thing. It's got a positive and negative, and then open, closed, and a ground. So yeah, I'll show you a better close-up of how I wired it up once I get those wired up. And then the M12 battery that Milwaukee has, and there's also some generic knockoffs, but I would just go with a genuine Milwaukee battery. It lasts a long time, even though the milliamp is pretty low. 16 watt hours. Lasts a pretty long time. But they've got red lithium, 2.0, there's XC, there's like a ton of different versions. Now something to note with this car, the red version of the car has a third wheel that makes the car easier to turn. You can see it kind of slides around because the two side wheels aren't actually touching the ground. You can see it's not spinning, not moving, because that third wheel holds the car up in the air. There's a problem with that. The blue car is exactly the same, but it doesn't have this. So I can actually put a Sony Bluetooth speaker that's like that long in the front, and it has really good sound. With this, we're going to have to use a smaller Bluetooth speaker. Audio quality won't be as nice, but this is just a novelty. So you probably could eliminate that and get rid of this thing if you wanted more trunk space, but honestly, I mean, there's so many different Bluetooth speakers out there now, you can find something that'll fit. So you'll be using the utility knife to cut through the plastic. And once all the wires are run and you've got them twisted together and everything's testing well, you go through and solder everything. Alright, now when you're running the wires, this is pretty much what you want to use. Except I don't have a coat hanger, a metal coat hanger, or some long wire around, so I used some really long zip ties. You want to tip the vehicle so that the wire is going down. I cut a little hole in the firewall because I don't want the wires to go underneath like the first time I did this. It's not so great, but I can cover this up with a floor mat. So I'm going to cut a custom floor mat to cover this area in. It also makes cleaning the thing much easier. If your kid's dropping their bottle or snacks or whatever and it's dripping down in here, it's easier to just throw a floor mat into the washer or scrub it down real quick than have to scrub this crap out and spray it out with water. So you've got a little hole you cut in here, you run the wire down through, kind of wiggle it around until you see it back here and it pops through, and then you pull the wire. Okay, so tail lights in there. I'm just going to glue this, run the wires to there. If you tip the thing up vertically, let the wires fall down, it'll make it easier. And then I'm going to run the wires to there, and it goes up through the firewall and out through a little hole right there. I'm going to run all of the wires into here, including the switch, and then I'm going to wire everything to the switch. So this is just a way to keep everything tidy. You could do it the length of the entire car because this down here is hollow, but you'd want to have a long wire because it's got to go down and then back up, which would be a huge pain. So I figure the floor mats will cover that up and won't be a big deal. So moving on. Okay, you definitely get what you pay for, because these I bought at AutoZone for about 20 bucks, and they come with 3M emblem adhesive or 3M gray tape on the backside, and that stuff sticks like mad. We were going to use a super hot glue that cures in like 3 minutes, but my experience with this 3M tape is that it takes a lot of strength to rip it off once it's on. So unless you're doing curb checks, like we've got some scratches and stuff, should be fine. If it does come off, then we'll use the crazy hot glue next time, but for now this will work pretty well. So we got the lights hooked up. I'm going to snip the wires. It came with a little battery pack and a switch, but I want to wire it all into the 12 volt. So I'm going to run these wires in here, and actually I might just drill a hole through there so that they're following, won't get hooked on stuff underneath the car, and then route that wire over to here and through the front so that they're all in the same bundles, and then test again. And then once all those are hooked up, solder them together, and then run the switch, and then run the horn, and we'll be all done. If you use this kind of switch, the standard rocker switch that you see in semis, there are 5 connectors on the back. Negative on this end, positive on this end. If you want the lights to be on at all times, like the top light and the bottom light, no matter which way it's flipped, when the battery is connected, you want to jumper these two and run them to both the ground for the battery and ground for the lights. Then you want to jumper this one and run that to the battery, and then this one goes to the positive lead for the lights, the bottom left. And that is the quick and dirty of how to wire that up for the switch. So we got it all wired up. This is what it looks like. Big bright lights on the front, underbody lights, tail lights. Got a switch to turn everything off and on. It stays lit. And then